Newfoundland and Labrador, and Her Honor, Tricia Fagan.
Right. Oh.
Oh. Good afternoon. My name is Kim Mackay. I'm the Vice Chair of Newfoundland and Labrador Human Rights Commission. Thank you all for being here today. This is very exciting. I'm just amazed at this beautiful artwork and to see all these beautiful people here with so many achievements in this room. The people that work in the area of human rights don't do it for the accolades, but we feel it's important to acknowledge oftentimes the lifelong efforts that go into working in this area, often as volunteers. People do it for love. In recognition of the work of the recipient of this award today, we are providing this beautiful piece of art created by Kelly Bruton.
Nice.
We're grateful to the Royal Bank of Canada for their contribution to this award and welcome all those representatives attending today. I'd like to welcome His Honor to come and say a few words, if you would.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. It's a real delight and a privilege and a real pleasure for us to host this wonderful event. This is our second year, I believe, that we've done this. We've done many events, so sometimes difficult to keep track of them all. Some of them are especially important to our province, especially important to us, and this is one of those events. I would like to say thank you for all of the people who work on behalf of the people of our province in a volunteer manner, and those, of course, who work professionally. We would like to congratulate and thank all of you that were nominated for these wonderful recognition of the work you've done in the field of human rights. It is always an extreme pleasure for us to participate in this kind of event. So again, thank you. Look forward to seeing you at the reception afterwards, and probably take the opportunity to wish you all Merry Christmas then, and maybe I'll even do it now.
Right.
And individually, we get a chance to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Thank you for being here. I'd love to see a cool crowd like this today. It just goes to show how important this event is to all of you. Thank you very much.
Right.
And in thanking their honors for inviting us here today, I'd also invite Chris Shepherd, the Executive Director of the St. John's Neighbour Friendship Center and the Human Rights Commissioner to offer the land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Kim, and your honors. I'm very thankful to be here today first, not just as a Human Rights Commissioner and in my role as Executive Director of the Native Friendship Center, but also as an Indigenous person. And so, first I'll listen to my mother a little bit and tell you who I am and where I'm from. As I've gotten older, she's reminded me that that's a part of our protocol and we should do it. Trying to make her happy. My name is Christopher Shepherd. I'm originally from Postville, Nunatsiut, which is in the Inuit area of Labrador, and I've lived here for 13 years. So now I'll do a land acknowledgement. And for those who don't know, land acknowledgements can be very personal. It can be done in a personal way when you're in any sort of gathering, just to acknowledge where you stand. It doesn't necessarily have to be a very protocol thing, but important nonetheless. And so I would like to acknowledge that today we stand on what will be traditional Beothuk territory, but also acknowledge that this province is home to several other Indigenous people. So the Mi'kmaq of Newfoundland, the Inuit of Labrador, and the Southern Inuit of Labrador. And so, like I said, you can always do it wherever you are. You may have to ask whose land you're on, but it's an important thing to recognize. So I really appreciate the opportunity to do it at Government House, and I hope everyone has a wonderful afternoon.
All right.
So human rights advocacy is filled with highs and oftentimes lows. Today is a high. I was buoyed to be driving here and hear the news that Australia has joined Canada in legalizing same-sex marriage. So. The Human Rights Award is timed to coincide with the International Human Rights Day, which is recognized annually on December the 10th. The award today is provided to people who make or have made a meaningful contribution to advancing and furthering human rights in Newfoundland and Labrador, either in their work or as a volunteer. The recipients take action. They combat discrimination. They increase awareness of human rights. They promote the dignity and the worth of people, and they recognize the rich diversity of the people of Newfoundland and Labrador. In the past years, we have recognized Mark Grushi, St. John's lawyer, for his advocacy in mental health issues and better public services. Our champion last year was Gemma Hickey, a St. John's poet and activist, an advocate for numerous social causes, such as same-sex marriage and the support for survivors of clergy abuse. In 2015, Sister Margie Taylor, who I believe may be here today, yes, hello.
Yeah.
She is an activist who helps female inmates transition out of prison, helps newcomers transition to Newfoundland, and we welcome her today. Thank you. In 2015, the champion, Calvin White, was recognized for his advocacy for the rights of Mi'kmaq people and other social justice causes. Each year, our award is unique and special, as this one is, and it's commissioned by local artists. This year, Kelly Bruton is the artist providing this work for us, and we thank Kelly. And again, thank RBC for their contribution. Kelly is a multi-talented artist based in St. John's. She's originally from Halifax. She studied fine art and education at the Nova Scotia College of Art and Design. She is known for her set design, her wardrobe and art direction in film, television, and stage. And she has exhibited her multimedia art and curated exhibitions around Newfoundland and Labrador, as well as internationally. I would invite Kelly to come up and say a few words about her beautiful piece of art.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Your Honors, Patricia and Frank Fagan, and invited guests here today. I thank you for asking me to be part of the 2017 Newfoundland Labrador Human Rights Award by creating it and also by being here today for the presentation. When I was designing the award you see here, I was thinking about three elements in our struggles for human rights for everyone. How everything is interconnected and interrelated, and how much can be achieved when we are indivisible. I drew upon the work of Serbian artist Predrag Stekic, who established the logo you see in the beaded center as an easily recognized symbol for human rights. The circle is a shape for containment, for holding things together, like a community, giving reference to a sunflower, a personal remembrance for me of Susan Shiner, and the mandala as object of contemplation and belief. The intertwined braid through the center reminds us that when we bind our actions together, we are stronger and we are indivisible. The hands symbolize our interconnectedness, our interrelatedness, and the strength of our individual and collective actions. The scriptures are quiet reminders of the time and energy it takes to make change happen, and it's all in our hands. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kelly. The committee members responsible for the selection of the recipient of this award this year include Renzi Say, the former chair of the Human Rights Commission, Aisling Gogan, Brenda Greztik, Henry Kiley, Linda Ross, Susan Tobin, and Carrie Magid, our executive director of the commission. They had a very difficult task, and I know that there was a lot of debate and discussion. I was privy to one meeting, which was a little heated. These issues bring up lots of perspectives. I'm glad to say that the recipient of the award this year is Susan Rhodes.
Yeah.
Susan, or Ms. Rose, is a former teacher, a current national vice president of the board of directors of EGALE, Human Rights Trust, for equality, which stands for Equality for Gays and Lesbians Everywhere. She is dedicated to advancing LGBTQ2S rights, protections, awareness, visibility in education, and in society more broadly. She has held numerous leadership roles in advocacy organizations and spearheaded new initiatives in education and the wider community, such as the Newfoundland Amazon Network, which is a community group seeking to help lesbians in Newfoundland. And she ran this for a time on a support line from her house, I understand, which is where, you know, grassroots as it gets, right? But that's the reality. She lobbied for improved work and educational improvements, in educational environments. She provided support and training to educators, families, and various organizations in developing workshops on LGBTQ2S issues. She advocated for the necessity of educator training and student visibility. She worked on research to study homophobia, transphobia, and educator attitudes and awareness. Her outreach and consulting work has reached across the province by partnering with the Department of Education for training and research, organizing provincial conferences for school-based gay-straight alliances. She has anecdotally been referred to multiple times as a guardian angel. She is a godsend, literally a lifesaver to many families when their children were struck. She is a trailblazer. She has risked her career when advocacy in this area was not common and supports did not exist. This award is timely, given the recent apology from our federal government to gay Canadians who've been fired from their jobs and the military during the Cold War. We have pending a bill to expunge criminal records for those charged with crimes relating to their sexuality. So I think it's very appropriate that Susan Rose is the recipient, and I welcome you to come address us all. Thank you.
It is my privilege and honor to be here today with the other nominees. I would like to thank Dan Goodger for nominating me, and thank you to Lieutenant Governor Frank Fagan and his wife Patricia Fagan, the Human Rights Commission, and the Selection Committee for this award. I also would like to thank the amazing, resilient youth, parents, and educators who have shared their stories and their journeys with me over the past 20 years. I also want to thank my parents who taught me to respect all people and instilled in me the courage to stand up for truth and justice. When I was a child and bullied for my spelling mistakes, my mother would say to me, "Susan, it takes a small mind to know one way to spell a word." I came to understand the depths of these simple words, and this translated in my life in believing that everyone deserves to be heard, to belong, to be loved for who they are, and not for who others want them to be. The climate around the world today is changing and impacting many minorities, including our LGBTQ2S community. Some of these changes bring freedom, while others maintain and reinforce small-minded views which foster oppression and injustice. The rights of many members of our community, my community, around the world are non-existent, and their very lives depend on hiding physically, socially, and psychologically who they are. Here in Canada, we are privileged to have the Canadian Human Rights of Freedoms and Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. I only said that 5,000 times. This is the umbrella under which all Canadians, including our community, can flourish strong and proud. The reality is that there's still much work to be done. The United Nations has recognized the struggles of our community, both here and around the world. Many members of our community continue to struggle with poverty, violence, hate crimes, access to health care, access to sustainable employment, economic opportunities, and homelessness. We all have a responsibility as citizens to ensure that our government at all levels be held accountable for the implementation of policies that affect the lives of every citizen, inclusive of the LGBTQ+ community. Our education system is the most important institution in our society. We mold and shape the minds and hearts of our youth. Educators have a huge responsibility to ensure that every child feels safe, respected as an individual, and know that they belong in their schools, in their families, and in their communities. These are the three elements that guarantee that every child succeeds and know that there is more than one way to spell a word, that we are more the same than different. In accepting this award, I accept it for all members of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and two-spirited community in Newfoundland and Labrador, especially our youth. This award acknowledges at the highest level that all members of our community belong, have a voice, and are supported in their journey for equality. Again, thank you for this recognition. I am truly humbled by this honor.
Nice to see you. She actually was one of the teachers that was very kind to me that year. It was. That's been my journey. We grew up. It's amazing that it's a full circle.
Surrounded by top-notch people here today.
Educators. See, we're all where we are today. This is absolutely beautiful. I love supporting our community in artistic and music, and I do the shed experience around the bay, by the way. So this to me says so much, and I've recently discovered that I'm Indigenous as well, and that's a new journey for me, an amazing journey. And this is gonna, this I can't tell you how this is going to be treasured and viewed by people in my place around the bay. Thank you.
Maybe you're an artistic talent.
They really do. They chase me.